Hi, I'm Emma Morton. I'm a psychologist working at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, and we're bringing you this information from the International Society for Bipolar Disorders. ISBD is a community of clinicians, academics, and people with lived experience dedicated to improving the lives of people with bipolar disorder through research, education, and advocacy. This video is part of a series talking about biological rhythms and how they are important for living well with bipolar disorder. I'd like to introduce you to our two guests, Holly Swartz and Sarah Schlee.
Hi, I'm Holly Swartz. I'm a psychiatrist working at the University of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania.
And hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Schlee. I'm a mother, grandmother, corporate consultant, and I'm also an expert by experience, having lived with bipolar for over 40 years.
Very warm welcome to you both, and thank you for joining me today. We're going to be discussing some self-management techniques that people with bipolar disorder may find helpful to stabilize their mood and lessen mood swings. And these strategies come from our understanding of the relationship between circadian rhythms, also known as your body clock, and bipolar disorder. Now, Holly, before we even get started, I'd love your input on what the key take-home message is here.
Yeah, it's two words: regular rhythms. I mean, virtually everything that we're going to be talking about today will be focused on encouraging you to do the same things at the same time every single day, even on the weekends. So the more regular, the better.
And why exactly is it that these regular routines are so important for living well with bipolar disorder?
Well, you mentioned circadian rhythms a minute ago. Circadian rhythms are biologic rhythms that exist in all of our bodies, and they run on approximately 24-hour cycles, and they help to control really important aspects of our health, including sleep, energy, appetite, mood, concentration. So if you have bipolar disorder, these circadian rhythms, or sometimes we call them body clocks, are easily dysregulated. And when your body clock isn't running smoothly, or it's out of sync with the external clocks, you don't feel well. So all of the suggestions that we're going to give you today focus on helping your body clock stay on track.
Okay, great. Thank you for that information. Sarah, as somebody with lived experience, I'm really interested in your perspective. Have you found regular routines to be helpful for managing bipolar disorder?
Yes, I think probably they're really essential. I mean, I'm thinking it's funny right now because I was just with my kids who are in their 20s, and it's tough at that point to be having regular routines. But at my stage of the game, I find that if I can go to sleep at a regular hour, get up at a regular hour, have my meals at a pretty regular hour, and most importantly for me is like morning practice, exercise, evening practice, and doing that in really pretty steady rhythm as I've learned is really important.
Okay, so that regular morning routine and evening routine to how you kick off and end your day is really important. Holly, what do you make of Sarah's routine?
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So we know that from research that that circadian rhythms are really sensitive to the times that we start our days and the times that we end our days, the time that we get out of bed, the time that we go to sleep. And having regular routines are really critical to helping set your body clock, especially around these critical junctures. And so, Sarah's regular practices in the morning and in the evening, it's giving really important information to her brain, that the day has begun, and helping to keep her circadian rhythms on track. And so it then, helps with a whole bunch of stuff that you can't see, but that are really important behind the scenes. So hormones like melatonin, cortisol, things like that, that are really important to keep our body running smoothly, by giving it information about sort of when it is in time, and that's critically important to keep body clocks and your body in general running well.
Yeah, I would say sorry, Emma, did you want to? I was just going to respond to that. I think for me, particularly essential is the morning practice, in spirit of getting myself started and on the right track with respect to calm, gratitude, presence, all of those things. So I've learned that, like, for me, I don't allow myself to hit the email until I've done what I call stretch and pray. Morning practice, yoga, gratitude, get some good food in my system. So I'm pretty disciplined about that. And so, these things are so ubiquitous and so tempting. And I try to do my best to not touch that until I've really gotten myself into my day in a good way.
Absolutely. That sounds like a really great way to start off your day. How about the evenings when it comes time to winding down, Sarah? Anything that's worked well for you there?
I think the most thing is not to let myself get to bed too late, because I know it's linking to what time I'm going to get up in the morning. So, I kind of make myself head up the stairs by 9:30, let's say, so that I know, because I know my routine. Getting older, there's more and more things you have to add to your routine, in terms of, okay, now their teeth retainers go in or whatever. But now I know my bedtime routine is about a half an hour, everything that I got to do to unwind, and then wanting to unplug from all electronics and read something that's black and white on paper to calm things down. So yeah, I do also kind of that bedtime ritual.
Okay, very disciplined there as well. And we've heard a lot about staying unplugged or avoiding screen time in the evening. Holly, can you tell us the science, what it says about avoiding blue light?
Yeah, I mean, Sarah's doing all the right things. We unplug in the evening especially, or are careful about our screens in the evening, because blue spectrum light has a big influence on our brains. And in particular, it suppresses melatonin, the hormone that is really essential to our getting a good night of sleep. And so all of our screens emit blue light. And so if we're exposing our brains through our eyes to a whole lot of blue light late at night, we're suppressing melatonin, which will make it harder for us to sleep. So unplugging is probably the best thing you can do, not look at your screens. Probably second best thing you can do is use technology to filter out the blue light from your screens. And there's a lot of programs and things like that you can use to do that.
Amber glasses. What do you think of the amber glasses?
Or you can, put on glasses that filter out the blue light. So there's a couple different ways that you can do that. So physically filtering out blue light as night falls. That's also a really good thing you can do to protect your brain.
I hadn't heard some of those tips, so thank you. That was really interesting. So Sarah, it sounds like you've got a pretty disciplined routine. But what about those days when things don't go well and you feel more tired, or just kind of dealing with the day-to-day fatigue? Is it better to sleep in, or what are some tips for managing that tiredness during the day?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of perfect because last night I was out of town for my husband's birthday, Airbnb, different scene, daughter crashed on the couch, later morning. I think I'm, again, religious about my yoga. So when I get up, even I'm in the Airbnb, I got my little portable yoga mat, and that's going to start my day off in a way that's settling and calming and helping me, remember to take good care of myself that day. So I think having a couple of those touchstones, I have a roller, it's a little roller yoga mat, to help with the days that are going to be off. Another thing that I think I've learned is essential. I know it's good for everybody, but I think people, particularly bipolar, is I call it my power nap, 18 to 20 minutes in the afternoon. Some people might meditate. Some people might go for a walk. For me, I just literally have a power nap. I set my clock, my watch, so it doesn't go over 25. And it's another reset. I know it's really good for my brain. Holly can tell you why I say it's like a vacuum cleaner, cleaning out the metabolic waste. But I think it's not only the rest, but also the reminder of self-care by doing that as a ritual has become really important too.
Yeah, great. And Holly, what does the science say about naps?
So it's a tricky thing. So naps are kind of a double-edged sword. So if we nap too much for too long, it actually can interfere with sleep, at least for many people. You're not tired enough to fall asleep on a regular schedule. So if you oversleep, take a couple-hour nap in the middle of the day, that be careful, because that could make it hard for you to sleep. But what Sarah's describing, a short nap under 20, maybe 30 minutes, can be really refreshing and doesn't seem to interfere with your sleep, especially if you don't do it too late in the day. And it's probably a good alternative to other coping strategies that many of us turn to, like caffeine, that might actually, have a negative impact on our sleep, if we're using that to try to get through the day. So, I think Sarah's, again, right on the mark with that. It's a good way to kind of refresh, reset, and keep going, even if you're a little bit tired, so that you actually are still able to fall asleep at night.
Yeah, I literally set my timer. This time I do use this thing. And I'm kind of Pavlov dog wired to it now. So I wake up even without it, but I don't want to go past 25 minutes. So I do that. Yeah.
That's a really great point. So perhaps playing around and figuring out what works for you until you can kind of implement it in your life with regularity, like Sarah's talking about. So I do hear sometimes from people trying out this regular routine that it's really hard to get going. And I'd love to hear from you both as a kind of final thought. What kind of techniques what's something realistic that somebody can start with to help get these routines in place?
Do you want to go, Holly, or?
Well, I think I'm really interested in learning from you, Sarah, because you are the expert by experience. But I think we don't want to. I mean, you're really good at this, and so I'm guessing that this has taken a long time for you to get where you are. For people just starting out with this, often starting with one thing, one goal, break it down into small parts and just pick something to focus on, to do one thing at the same time every day. And especially if you're not feeling well, if you've got if you've got depression symptoms or hypomanic symptoms, just pick something and see if you can try to get it at the same time every day, whether it's getting up at the same time every day, having one of your meals at the same time every day, engaging in some kind of practice like Sarah does her yoga at the same time every day. Just pick one thing. And then if it starts to work for you, add on after that. Sarah, do you have other tips?
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. I mean, just, start with one thing. I'm thinking about myself when I feel well and when I don't feel well. Like now, when I feel well, lots of discipline, it's easy. Then I would say either stick to the bedtime, because if the lights out are at 10, then I'm probably going to get up early and I'll be, going in a good way, or stick to the morning routine, get up, brush your teeth, do yoga or some other practice like that. So I would say one of those would be highest leverage for getting going, because it'll link the rest of your day to it. When I'm, having a bipolar depression, which for me could last for months, and I'm trying to think it's very difficult, right, to do any of these things. But I think probably the one thing that I would encourage people to do is set the bedtime, because you're going to want to stay up later and that's going to make things worse. So if you can at least, say, okay, I'm going to have lights out by 10 or 11. Once it gets to be midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, that's going to really mess up your next day. So I think that would be my one recommendation. If you're not feeling well, try to set bedtime 10 or 11.
Yeah, it's really important I'm going to just add to, hear from Sarah, and I think that that's great advice. We also think that, getting up at the same time every day would also be a good starting place.
Yes.
Just because that's also, also related to the time that you go to sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. So. I think I was saying that you won't be able to get up if I remember I'd start to feel, a little, I don't know what it is. It's just that I would feel better at closer to midnight. So I'd want to stay up. It's the only time of day I felt decent. But then that would have repercussions the next day. So I think, just wanting to aim for getting up at a certain hour, therefore getting to bed at a, decent hour. Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you both for those realistic tips, especially for somebody who's feeling overwhelmed. I think it's a really great reminder that just starting out with one small step is really important. And like you were saying, Sarah, can kind of help anchor your day and have those flow-on effects, whether you keep going to bed at a regular time or getting up at a regular time. That first step towards regular rhythms is going to help stabilize the rest of your day.
Yeah, and then I picking a chapter from Joseph Goldstein, the meditation teachers. If you fall off the cart, simply begin again. Simply begin again. So I screwed it up last night or 4 nights in a row. Tonight I'm going to do 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Wise words.
So we hope that those of you who are listening have found these tips to be helpful. I think whether you live with bipolar disorder or you don't, you will be aware of how important sleep and these regular routines can be. And if you'd like to learn more about how the body clock works or why it's so important, please do watch the other ISBD videos on this channel.
Great.
And as both of our guests have said, a small step is a great place to begin your journey to regular rhythms. And if you found a way to incorporate those routines into your day, we'd love to hear about it in the chat. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.